pretty much covered everybody except for the kid we picked in the 7th round. He's more of a project. He's a freak athlete.
Yeah, freak athlete. I could see him be a hybrid jacks of all trades, linebacker, defensive end, kind of doing the Kyle Wilbur thing. Special teamer, all that jazz. Maybe even turn him into a long snapper.
Maybe he'll be might be in the practice squad this year, sounds like.
Oh, yeah, would fully expect that. He's a long-term developmental player.
Now, after the free agency and the draft, what are our holds? I know you're scared to death about the guard position, but what else we got?
I got to be honest. I think they really filled it out nicely.
Yeah?
I can't...
What about a coverage linebacker?
I mean, yeah, they're like... But again, with the coverage linebacker, you got to project, can they do it some other way? So, I mean, could I... Yeah, we don't really have one outside of Morrow, but I could definitely see them using Isaiah Johnson to cover tight ends. So, I think they have... I think they have spots where you're kind of like, and it requires some projection, which, everyone is going to handle that a little bit differently. But I do look at it saying I can see how they can handle certain problems they've had before with this group. Now, will they and will it work? I don't know. But I can definitely see a route in which they can compensate for it,
Yeah, maybe just a heavy zone. Yeah, what I like about
heavy zone, doing some bracketing, pass rush is going to make a big factor into it. So yeah, I mean there's definitely some projection, but overall, like if you want to talk about remaking a roster, like they did a pretty good job. I will say this: I never have been overly sold on the tackle, Malcolm Brown.
Yeah.
Was Trent Brown.
Trent Brown. Something.
I'm horrible at names. Everybody knows this, but I'm irked by a guy who comes in and just kills it with the Patriots. Like you just don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that require a leap of faith. I still think Colton Miller. I think he still has tons of upside. I think he can be a long-term successful tackle in this league. So that's going to be a toughie, but I do think having the right running back, having the right tight end, having the weapons at wide receiver can really help compensate for the offensive line. I think there was so much pressure put on that offensive line last year because of the position they got put in that they were doomed to fail in many respects. And, Colton Miller being injured for most of the year doesn't help. So if you think about all the other ways they've helped that offense, it might not be a problem at all.
Yeah. One undrafted free agent I want to touch on is Tavon Coney. I'm pretty surprised he didn't get drafted, but not too much because he seems kind of stiff, and I think he did pretty poor on his pro day, the way he ran his 40. He seems like another guy who can back up our middle linebacker, but I think he makes the team.
I'm not normally a big PFF fan, but PFF did have him as like their number one coverage and run defending linebacker. Like they had him as like a top 60 prospect.
Yeah, he was their third best linebacker.
Yeah. I liked Tevin Coney. I watched him and he stuck out to me. I really enjoyed him. I think he is a very good zone linebacker. I think when you watch him and you watch him in zone, he has a real good feel for the depth on the zone, feel what's going on behind him. I think he does well in that spot. I think it was going to be really hard. It's a hard call between Coney and Tranquil. I thought they were both really successful linebackers in that scheme.
Yeah, and Tranquil is more of an athletic type of guy.
Yeah.
And Coney seems kind of similar to Jason Kabinda in that way. Like they're both like, so him, Jason Kabinda, and Vontez probably be our middle Mike linebackers, just to run first type of guys.
If you told me week one, Tevin Coney was a starting middle linebacker, I go, yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah. I think
But
they're
that's
trying to
the
prepare
kind of prospect I think he is.
I think they're trying to prepare for any type of 4-game suspensions. So
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And I'm not overly sold on Cabinda. Like, I never have been a big Cabinda. I'm not sold on him. So yeah, I could, if you told me, week 1, Tevin Coleman starting at the middle linebacker, I'm like, all right, I buy that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if he's going to be the nickel linebacker next to Tahir Whitehead, but in that, he might. But right now, I would say the leading guy for that's probably Brandon Marshall, assuming he's healthy.
Yeah, Nichols probably be Marshall and Whitehead.
Yeah.
And for the backup middle linebacker spot, it'd probably be between Coney and Cabinda, because I think they want to keep Vontez in the middle to start, just because he knows the system, in and out. And in the beginning, you need a guy like that who can line everybody up.
But again, if we're in nickel 75% of the time, how much is Vontez actually on the field?
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing is, Gunther likes playing in nickel. So, I mean, we'll see. Speaking of UDFAs, they went and got Keelan Doss as well, wide receiver from UC Davis. To me, he reminds me of a discount version of Devontae Adams. Vertical guy who could play in all 3 spots. Limited routes, but great athlete, lots of verticals. And so I could see him carving up a role. I could see him being a returner, like our top returner to start, punts and kicks because of that athletic profile.
I think we have a lot of guys trying to fight for that third wide receiver spot.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be brutal. And I think the thing about that third wide receiver spot, I think it's going to be situational. It's going to depend on what they want to do. If they want to be aggressive down the field, it might be Keelan Doss or Nelson or, a couple of those other wide receivers they brought in for free agency. If they need that short reception, got to have a clutch catch, it's probably going to be Hunter Renfrow. So that third wide receiver may definitely be a very flexible, situational position, not necessarily carved out in stone.
Yeah. By the way, I'm in New York, so when they picked Giants picked Daniel Jones, the whole place went silent. It was hilarious what happened. I was looking at Sims, and his mouth kind of dropped a little bit. It was pretty funny. That was a surprise, real surprise pick. But I think they did well with Baker and Julian Love, because Julian Love they picked up in the 4th round, who I really like, is a good zone corner. So we'll see, man. What's next? Yep. What's next with the Raiders? I guess the rookie tryout is this Friday.
Yeah, rookies. You're gonna have rookies report. We're gonna get right into OTAs. They're gonna hit the ground running, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be. I think the next month it's gonna get pretty hype. I think they're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised. People are gonna see Clelin Ferrell come in, and he's gonna probably just wow people right off the bat. Stature and everything else, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting when we see veterans report, because we're gonna want to see, how are some of those guys who were dinged up. How does Chris Harris look? Chris Warren look? How does a guy like Eddie Vanderdoes look?
They reported for the first phase of the off-season program the last 2 weeks, so they've been lifting and stuff. I think they get to throw the ball around starting tomorrow, so it should be fun.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So tomorrow, starting next week and the week after, it's phase 2. They get to throw the ball around, offensive positional drills and things like that. No offense versus defense, and after that, 3 weeks of OTAs, 3 days a week. So it should be fun. After that, it's going to be a lull. I think June and July is going to be pretty dead. The end of July, they'll come back with the
with
camp, and then preseason, and we're at it again. So I think we're at a good spot. I can finally do other stuff than football, right? Not have to worry about the draft and things like that. So. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
I'd say overall this draft was really solid. I think they added a ton of potential starters and ones that will be starters. I think right now you have to feel that this offseason was just absolutely tremendous, all things considered. I don't give a crap what the media says. They came into it with a plan, and frankly, they knocked it out of the damn park.
Yeah, man, I agree.
I mean, as someone who was very skeptical of Gruden last year, I'm thoroughly impressed. I think he did a really good job, him and Mayock, and hat tip to him,
By the way, you know who's been really shitting on Gruden is Mike Lombardi. I'm really pissed off at Mike Lombardi. You know what he was saying? He's like, I've been in the room with Gruden, and he's like a fat kid in a buffet. Said he wants everything. When the draft starts, he's just gonna go crazy and say, "No, I want this receiver. I want that receiver." That didn't happen. And I look back at his drafting history. It's mostly been like defense that he's been drafting at. When he's with Tampa, he didn't go crazy with like, oh, this big name splash players at all. So I don't know what Michael Lombardi's problem is, but
no, you know what it is all the media have really come together to create a narrative about John Gruden because of what he did with Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper to make him sound like he's just freaking nuts.
Yeah.
When realistically, for the most part, he's been extremely sensible.
Yeah.
And free agency was all about getting veterans for the offense, because you have a veteran quarterback, and then the draft was was mostly defense, and they addressed key positions. They again. This is 2 drafts in a row where they doubled down at specific positions. Last year was offensive tackle and defensive tackle. This year was defensive end and corner, and they doubled down in both positions. This is 2 years in a row they've done this. So I think you're starting to see trends. I think everything was very sensible. I think they came into it wanting to build a roster and did it in the right way. And like I said, as someone, myself personally, who was skeptical of Gruden after last year, round of applause.
Yeah.
Good draft. Good for him. I really think this offseason they proved that they have a plan, and I think they hit it. And I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
You going to go to any games?
I'm going to try. We're going to try to. It's things are. I'm in a particular situation with my job where I've been taking on a lot more responsibilities and stuff, and it might kind of trickle into this year. We'll see. So I'm going to hope to at least one. I would like to say a goodbye to the old dump. So it would be nice. I would like to say goodbye to it.
Yeah, I said goodbye. I flew out opening week.
About Vegas, so.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning to go to the Jets game when the Jets host the Raiders because I'm here, so that should be fun.
Yeah.
My first game.
I'll probably try to time it up with Stapler and those guys, and so we all got to get together at one of the games.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd
be cool. You guys should come over. It's in New York.
Oh, jeez. That would maybe in the future, but definitely not this season. It's going to be. Like I said, I'm definitely going to try for one. I know my wife is itching to go back to a game, so we'll definitely try. But
yeah,
I'm really pumped and looking forward to this season. It's been a great offseason.
Yeah, let's see what happens. The main thing's over. We'll just it's on Gruden now to cook with what Mayock gave him, right? So we'll see. We'll be back again in the podcast in the near future with Gavin. Gavin had to take the missus out today, so he couldn't join us. But thanks for listening, and follow us. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you like what you hear. Follow my man here, Rory Anderson at Holistic Pickle, and thanks for listening, guys.